Unstoppable focus. Train your mind like a genius. Andrew Carnegie. There is one ability that separates ordinary people from extraordinary ones. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not above-average intelligence. It's sustained focus. Andrew Carnegie realized this after watching brilliant men fail and ordinary men build empires. The difference? Some had ability. Others had direction that didn't break. Because the human mind is powerful. But without focus, it spreads itself thin. And a scattered mind never builds anything great. Carnegie said the greatest waste of humanity is not lack of opportunity. It is dispersed mental energy. Most people live like this. They start something. A stop halfway. A get distracted. A change plans. A go back. A compare themselves. A react to everything. And at the end of the year, they feel busy, but not transformed. The problem isn't lack of effort. It's lack of concentrated direction for long enough. Brain, what is unstoppable focus? It's not just paying attention. It's the ability to keep your mind pointed at a goal, even when there are no visible results. Distractions appear. The world pulls your attention. A motivation drops. Fatigue shows up. Unstoppable focus is when your mind doesn't negotiate with distraction. Carnegie understood that geniuses are not people with different brains. They are people who can keep their mind on the same point long enough for something great to be built. Warning: the biggest enemy of focus is not external noise. It's internal noise. The mind talks all the time. Look at this. You've tried before. This is taking too long. Maybe this isn't for you. Rest a little. You can come back later. Carnegie said an undisciplined mind is like a radio without control. You don't choose the station. You just listen to whatever plays. Geniuses do the opposite. They choose which thoughts they feed. And that is training. Lock the first step to training your mind like a genius. Eliminate the illusion of multitasking. Most people believe doing many things at once is productivity. Carnegie saw this as mental weakness. The mind doesn't go deep when it constantly changes direction. It only schemes the surface. And surface never creates excellence. He applied a simple rule. Backhand index pointing right. While I'm on this, only this exists. That creates depth. And depth creates mastery. Direct hit focus is a decision, not a feeling. Most people wait to feel like concentrating. But focus doesn't come from feeling. It comes from the decision to ignore what doesn't build your future. Carnegie trained his mind to do something powerful, not respond to every stimulus. News appears, no reaction. A message arrives, he doesn't abandon what he's doing. A problem shows up, he notes it, but doesn't change direction impulsively. He didn't let the environment decide his focus. He decided his focus before the environment tried to steal it. Brick: why smart people fail. Because intelligence without focus is waste. Carnegie saw brilliant men jump from idea to idea. They started excited, switched quickly, but never went deep. Life rewarded those who went deep, not those who just started. He said, the world does not reward those who try many things. It rewards those who do one thing until they become impossible to ignore. Fire the moment focus starts to hurt. Here's what almost no one talks about. Training focus is uncomfortable. After a few minutes, the mind wants to escape. It wants distraction, novelty, relief, because the brain has been trained for years to chase quick stimulation. But Carnegie understood. Backhand index pointing right. Mental discomfort is a sign of mental construction. When the mind wants to run, you are strengthening the muscle of focus. Most people stop there. The genius continues. Brain unstoppable focus changes your identity. After weeks of training concentration, something shifts. You're no longer someone who gets distracted by everything. You become someone who finishes what they start, goes deep, maintains direction, ignores noise, builds with consistency, and the world notices. Focused people transmit presence. They don't seem frantic. They seem centered. And that builds trust. Trust brings responsibility. Responsibility brings growth. Gear Carnegie's practical method to train focus. He did 3 simple things that changed everything. Keycap 1. Start the day with the hardest task. The mind grows stronger when it faces resistance early. Keycap 2. Work in uninterrupted blocks. No switching tasks constantly. Keycap 3. Finish what you start. Focus grows when the mind learns that you don't abandon. Brain. When you start to focus, the mind tries to escape. This is automatic. You decide to focus. You sit down to do what truly matters. And suddenly, you feel like checking your phone. You remember something urgent. You start thinking about another task. You feel mental fatigue. You become restless. You want to get up. Most people interpret this as, today I'm not at my best. My mind isn't good right now. I need a break. Carnegie saw it differently. Backhand index pointing right. This is the exact moment your focus is being trained. The mind is used to constant stimulation. When you place it into deep concentration, it reacts like someone pulled out of their comfort zone. It creates distraction to escape. Warning: the mind uses smart excuses. It doesn't say, I'm going to sabotage you. It says, just a short break. You can come back later. This is important too. You deserve to relax. Carnegie called this resistance disguised as logic. The mind wants the easiest path, but focus lives on the difficult path repeated. Lock the secret of geniuses. Stay a little longer. When the mind wants to leave, most people leave. The genius does the opposite. He stays a little longer. That's it. He doesn't force absurd hours, but he does not obey the first impulse to escape. That little longer builds mental endurance, and mental endurance builds unstoppable focus. Carnegie said great works are not created by bursts of energy. They are created by those who remain when the mind wants to run. Direct hit focus is not natural. It is trained. Most people think focused individuals were born that way. But Carnegie observed that concentration is built like physical strength. At first it hurts. The mind gets agitated, wants to stop. But with repetition, what was difficult becomes natural. After weeks, something shifts. You enter concentration faster. Your mind argues less. Distraction loses strength. This is a conditioned mind. A trained mind works differently. Ordinary minds think, get distracted. Try switch. Star quit. Trained minds think, continue. Feel discomfort, remain. Want to stop, proceed. This creates depth, and depth creates mastery. Carnegie said mediocrity is born from fragmented attention. Excellence is born from sustained attention. Fire the decisive moment of focus. There is a point in any important task where you feel like stopping. This is where most people quit. But it's also where growth happens. If you stop, you reinforce the old pattern. If you continue, you build a new mental pattern. Carnegie trained the mind to ignore the impulse to quit. He said, the mind learns who is in charge through repeated command. Brain unstoppable focus changes your identity. After enough time training focus, you stop being someone who tries to concentrate and becomes someone who concentrates. That is identity. And identity sustains results when motivation fails. You don't need to fight so hard to focus. You simply enter the state. And this state changes your life. Because focused people learn faster, solve problems better, produce more, build bigger things, become references. High voltage, the world starts responding to your focus. Carnegie noticed something powerful. When someone develops unstoppable focus, their presence changes. They speak with more clarity, decide with more firmness, act with more precision. And this generates external trust. People trust those who transmit concentration. Companies trust them. Clients trust them. Partners trust them. And trust creates opportunities. Compass the mistake that destroys focus. Most people try to focus only when they feel motivated. But focus is not born from excitement. It is born from repeated discipline. You don't wait for the desire. You create the pattern. Carnegie didn't ask, do I feel like focusing? He asked, does this build the future I decided on? If yes, he continued. The world was built so you wouldn't focus. Carnegie lived in another era, but the principle was already clear to him. Backhand index pointing right distraction is the most powerful force against greatness. Today, this is even stronger. Notifications, social media, messages, news, useless conversations, false urgencies. None of these seem dangerous on their own. But together, they fragment your mind. And a fragmented mind builds nothing great. Carnegie said most people don't fail because of lack of talent. They fail because they never enter deep concentration long enough to produce something extraordinary. Brain to brain becomes what it repeats. If you constantly switch attention, your mind learns to be superficial. It loses the ability to sustain long thought. You try to read and drift. Try to work and want to check something. Try to learn, and your mind asks for new stimulation. This is not lack of intelligence. It is wrong training. Carnegie trained the mind like an athlete trains the body. Less stimulation, more depth. Lock protecting focus is an act of authority. Carnegie did not let the world decide his attention. He decided. He had periods of mental isolation, moments when only one thing existed. No interruptions, no side conversations, no external distractions, because he understood something brutal. Whoever controls your attention controls your life. Warning a mind addicted to stimulation cannot tolerate silence. When you begin protecting your focus, the mind becomes agitated. It asks for stimulation, wants distraction, wants novelty. This is withdrawal. Carnegie said that at this moment most people quit. They go back to the phone, back to conversation, back to noise. But those who continue pass through a silent point where the mind calms down. And when the mind calms, it begins to produce deep ideas. Light bulb, the mental state of a genius. Carnegie observed extraordinary people and saw something in common. They spent long periods in deep thought, without interruption, without artificial urgency, without anxiety for immediate response. It is in this state that complex solutions appear. Decisions become clear. A creativity emerges. A strategic vision is born. But this state requires protected focus. Brick, how to train genius-level focus in practice. Carnegie followed 3 simple principles. Keycap 1. Do fewer things, but finish. Ordinary minds start a lot. Extraordinary minds finish. Each completed task strengthens your mental authority. Keycap 2. Set blocks of total concentration. Periods where nothing else exists. No switching. No checking. No, just a minute. This builds mental endurance. Keycap 3. Endure the discomfort of depth. Deep thinking is tiring. The mind wants to escape. But this is exactly where growth happens. Fire unstoppable focus changes your value in the world. Carnegie said most people live busy. Few produce something relevant. Because relevance requires depth. And depth requires sustained focus. Those who develop this learn faster, solve difficult problems, build bigger things, become references, stand out naturally, not by luck, but by mental structure. Brain, the invisible effect of trained focus. After months of training your mind, you think with more clarity, decide faster, get distracted less, produce more in less time. Your mind stops being noisy. It becomes sharp. And a sharp mind creates opportunities. High-voltage, unstoppable focus is a competitive advantage. Carnegie saw focus as silent power. While others scatter, you build. While others react, you plan. While others talk, you produce. And consistent production draws attention. You don't need to promote yourself. Your work speaks. Brain focus without direction becomes useless obsession. Carnegie said there are people who are extremely focused, but focused on the wrong things. They focus on arguments, comparisons, worries, excessive perfectionism, endless planning without action. This does not create growth. It creates exhaustion. A genius's focus needs a target. Direct hit the question that defines your greatness. Carnegie constantly asked, backhand index pointing right, what I am doing right now, does it build something that lasts? If the answer was no, he cut it. Because he understood life is built by a few deep decisions, not by thousands of shallow movements. Fire focus plus direction equals constructive power. When your mind is trained, you gain something rare. You can sustain effort in things that take time. Most people can only focus on what gives quick pleasure. Carnegie focused on what built the future. He endured long processes, work without applause, difficult learning, silent periods, unpopular decisions, because he did not focus on present discomfort. He focused on future results. Brick, how to turn focus into real achievements. Here is the transition from mental training to concrete accomplishment. Keycap 1. Choose a meaningful project. Focus needs a target that challenges your capacity. Something that increases your skill, raises your responsibility, forces you to grow, takes you out of average. Without challenge, focus weakens. Keycap 2. Sustain depth even when no one sees. Carnegie worked for years without recognition, but he knew depth builds foundation, and foundation sustains future growth. Most people stop when they don't see fast results. The genius continues. Keycap 3. Turn repetition into mastery. Repeated focus in the same direction creates something rare. Excellence. And excellence is currency. The world pays highly for those who perform far above average. Moneybag, how focus becomes wealth. Carnegie did not become rich because he worked more hours. He became rich because his focused mind produced better decisions. Better decisions create fewer mistakes, more successes, more strategic vision, better opportunities. Wealth is the result of high-level decisions repeated, and high-level decisions come from a focused mind. Balanced scale focus also protects you from falls. Carnegie saw people rise quickly and lose everything. Why? They had talent, but scattered minds. Trained focus creates stability. You don't panic easily. You don't make impulsive decisions. You don't react emotionally. This protects your construction. Seedling focus changes your identity. After months of training your mind, you are no longer someone trying to concentrate. You are someone concentrated. You are no longer someone who starts and stops. You are someone who sustains. This changes how people see you, changes how opportunities appear, changes your level of responsibility. A genius doesn't work more. He thinks better. Andrew Carnegie realized something that changed his path. Most people use the mind to react. Few use the mind to create. Those who react live putting out fires. Those who create build systems. Unstoppable focus is not for doing more tasks. It is for thinking at a higher level. Carnegie did not ask, what do I need to do now? He asked, backhand index pointing right, what, if done right, eliminates 10 future problems? That is genius focus. Working on the cause, not the symptom. Direct hit genius focus is focus on big problems. Ordinary people focus on urgencies. Geniuses focus on structures. Urgency solves today. Structure changes tomorrow. Carnegie focused on improving processes, organizing systems, strengthening decisions, anticipating problems, building solid foundations. He did not waste focus on small distractions. He directed mental energy to what changed the game. Gear the difference between concentration and genius focus. Concentration is doing a task without distraction. Genius focus is choosing the right task. You can concentrate all day and still stay small. But if you focus on what increases your capacity, influence, and responsibility, your life rises to another level. Carnegie trained his mind to always ask, backhand index pointing right, does this make me more valuable or just keep me busy? This question removes half of the unnecessary things in your life. Fire, a genius does not live in the short term. Most people make decisions based on immediate relief. A genius makes decisions based on future impact. Carnegie endured hard work, pressure, silent phases, moments of uncertainty. because he thought in years, not days. Trained focus allows you to endure present discomfort to build future freedom. Brick unstoppable focus turns you into a reference. After months of mental training, something changes. You begin to solve problems calmly, think clearly, act consistently, not get lost in chaos. People notice. You become someone reliable. And the world rewards reliability with greater responsibility. Greater responsibility generates greater growth. Moneybag, how genius-level focus creates wealth. Carnegie did not become rich through physical effort. He became rich through mental quality. Trained mind makes fewer errors, decides better, sees opportunities earlier, solves bigger problems, maintains direction. Wealth is the consequence of high-level decisions repeated, and high-level decisions come from deep focus. Balanced scale focus also protects you. Focus is not only for growth, it is also for not falling. Trained mind does not panic, does not react impulsively, does not make emotional decisions, does not abandon plans halfway. This preserves everything you build, seedling the internal transformation. There comes a point when you realize you no longer struggle to concentrate. You are naturally concentrated. You no longer force yourself to act. You simply act. You are no longer someone trying to improve. You are someone structured. This is the transition from effort to identity. Chega momento em que você percebe que a diferença entre uma vida comum e uma vida extraordinária não está em circunstâncias. Está na capacidade de manter a mente sob comando por tempo suficiente. Treinar a mente como genio não é aprender truques mentais. A construir uma estrutura interna que não desmorona quando surgem dificuldades. Porque o mundo nunca ficará calmo o suficiente. Os problemas não vão parar. As distracos não vão diminuir. As pressos não vão desaparecer. Mas quando sua mente está treinada, você não perde rico e meio ao caos. Você não abandona decisões por causa da emoção momentânea. Você não troca construco por conforto. Você não para no meio do processo. Andrew Carnegie entendeu que o verdadeiro poder não é controlar o mundo externo. A não ser controlado por ele. O genio não é alguém que sabe tudo. É alguém que sustenta foco, disciplina e clareza quando os outros se perdem. E isso gera algo raro. Estabilidade mental. Consistência de queo. Confiança interna. Capacidade de continuar quando ninguém vê resultado. A dessa base que nascem grandes conquistas. Não porque a vida fica fácil, mas porque você deixa de ser o seu maior obstáculo. Quando sua mente aprende a obedecer sua decisão e não seu medo, você muda de nível. Suas escalas melhoram. Sua postura muda. Sua presença muda. Seu padrão de resultado muda. E então por isso que as coisas começam a dar certo. Mas não foi sorte. Foi treinamento mental repetido, dia após dia. Andrew Carnegie resumiria tudo assim. Você não se torna extraordinário em grande momento. Você se torna extraordinário quando, em pequenos momentos diários, escolher como alguém extraordinário. Foco imparável não é explosão. É de rico mantida. E quem mantém de rico por tempo suficiente, inevitavelmente chega onde a maioria nunca chega.